Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
So, has anything happened in the last week or so? A guy goes away for 1 week, and then you come back, and the entire landscape in the sports scene here in the Tampa Bay area has changed. What the hell is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. I missed you all. It has been far, far too long. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Recher. I am jacked up. I'm ready to roll. Plenty to get into on the program today. I was just on the air in Alabama talking about Alex Golesh leaving USF to go to Auburn. Not surprised. Not surprised. And you're starting to see the name. And I've had this name for weeks under my hat. And now you're starting to see that name come about. And we'll talk about that a little bit later today. We'll get to your comments. Make sure you subscribe, man. We got to get to, I was with my nephew yesterday, and he was giving me that look like, you better get up to 2,000 subscribers, Uncle Jay. And I'm like, all right. I got to do what I can. But what a crazy week it was for me. Real quick, left Saturday night, went to Puerto Rico, 17-hour layover in Puerto Rico. I stayed in a hostel in Puerto Rico. Didn't know that. I didn't know that when I checked into this hostel that I was sharing a bathroom, sharing a shower with the community. I walk in, some girl's taking her eyelashes off in the hallway. I was like, I did not research well enough what the hell I got myself into. Whatever. I got out of there, flew to St. Thomas. The wedding in St. John was absolutely beautiful. Congratulations to Danny and Delaney Gutcher. What an incredible, incredible wedding it was there in St. John. Absolutely beautiful. There for a couple days. And then Tuesday, an all-day affair flying from St. Thomas to Puerto Rico, from Puerto Rico to JFK. And then I get to JFK and I take the train from JFK to Jamaica, take the train from Jamaica back home. I'm finally home at my parents' house. Early Wednesday morning, it was just so great to be in a warm bed, to be able to take a shower, and then to be able to spend the holiday with my family. Unbelievable time with them. My 6 nieces and nephews, it just doesn't get better than that. Seeing good friends, being around the family. Yeah, it was well worth it. Well worth it. But yesterday, I was supposed to fly home at 6 a.m. so I could get to Buccaneers Cardinals at Raymond James Stadium. I drive an hour to JFK from my parents' house on Long Island. As soon as I walk into JFK, I put my confirmation number in the little kiosk there. Your flight has been canceled. You got to be kidding me. Flight canceled. Nothing in the next 24 hours out of JFK on JetBlue. I could have flown out of LaGuardia on Frontier or whatever, but I was going to miss the USF game. I missed the Bucs game. Couldn't do that. So I stayed an extra day, saw some friends, hung out with my niece and nephew, and then I flew home this morning. So I'm back. I'm ready to roll. Excited for these next couple of weeks, the final couple of weeks of the 2025 year. I'm going for 3 weeks here, and then I fly home on the 21st, and then I'll be gone for the rest of the year. So a lot of great things to get into over the next couple of weeks, including Bucks, USF, Lightning, Rays. And then, of course, at the end of our show, at the end of the year, like we do every year, the top 20 sports stars of Tampa Bay. We've been doing it for about 7 or 8 years now. The biggest stars in the Tampa Bay area. It could be players. It could be coaches. It could be front office members. It could be anybody. Can't wait to have that show for you. I've had so many people reach out the last couple of weeks. Thank you so much for the love and the support. We got the $2 super chat from our guy, Eddie Betty Spaghetti. My guy, welcome back, brother. Let's start the week strong. Let's show some love to Janet Best. Welcome back. Thank you so much. My guy, Honest Hammer. Of course, we couldn't do this without our super chats and, of course, without our partners. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956 for all your residential and commercial needs. And, of course, EverHealth, our EverHealth injury report with Dr. Rodriguez on Thursday. Love our partners. They are the best. My guy Hammer texted me before. I'm excited, Russ. Excited to talk some USF. USF grad, Tampa Bay sports. Everybody kill that like button as you're watching, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. DT, welcome back, Hermano. You have a lot to talk about. Yes, including that Man U win over Crystal Palace yesterday. Liverpool getting back to their winning ways. How about Mo Salah on the bench? Kind of crazy, huh, DT? I shine. Welcome back to you, Dave. Oh, I've got him, buddy. My thoughts on Alex Golesh at 1 p.m. today. Why I'm not surprised. And I'm going to tell you something at 1 o'clock today. When it comes to Alex Golesh and USF that I have not brought up one time. This is something that I was told about Alex Golesh year 1, year 2. We'll talk about it at 1 o'clock today. I kept my mouth shut. We'll talk about it today. Lady Evil, Rolly. Welcome back, Jay. About time that show should go 4 hours today with all that happened. You got that right. Dolan, he's crying in the club right now. It probably is my fault. You're right, Hammer. Carlos Baserva, Adam Cartwright. The college coaching cycle is nuts. Nuts. Knicks are hot. You're right, buddy. Life is good. CJ, Eddie, appreciate all of you guys. Jake, the moment I heard of the Alex Golesh signing, I thought, damn, what is Jay going to have to say about this? That's good. That's what we want. We want you guys to be able to that's good. That's what you want when you're in my position. I have so many things to get off my chest when it comes to the Alex Golesh thing. We'll do that at 1 o'clock today. I want to talk some Buccaneers right at the top. Ian Beckles joins us at 12:30 today. I also want to talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning and why they've gotten so good. Some people have mentioned this, but this really is the key to their success. Also, Lane Kiffin going from Ole Miss to LSU. The way that this story was covered tells you all you need to know about sports media and the sports world that we're living in. And it's not so much about Lane. It's about how it was covered. And we have this discussion a lot about, it's not just about what you say, it's about, or what you do, it's how you do it. It's how you treat people. It's the way you go about your business. And the Lane Kiffin saga and how that unfolded gave you kind of two ends of the spectrum. And I want to make sure that we point this out in the right way because it's important to talk about things like this. But let's start with the Bucs. A win is a win. Is a win. King Cook, what's up, buddy? Can we have some Bucs positive talk today on this Victory Monday? All right. So, listen, I'm going to keep that up, King, because here's what I want to say about that. When I'm watching the game yesterday, and it was great because, again, I didn't want to fly home yesterday because I would have missed the Bucs game. So I was able to sit at my parents' house, no nieces and nephews, and watch the entire Bucs game. And it sucked because I wanted to be there, the Simeon Rice thing. It's always different to be able to. I wanted to talk to Tristan Wirfs after that touchdown. That was my favorite part of Sunday altogether. As I'm watching this game, I keep telling myself, this looks sloppy. This looks uninspired. I'm just unimpressed by what I'm seeing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then I start, I keep going, and I'm just thinking to myself back a couple of weeks ago, who told you that the Buccaneers was going to have, who told you that the Buccaneers could lose 3 games in a row? Not many people said that. Remember, we talked about it because we went back to the whole thing with Nick Wright and with Danny Parkins. Remember, we spoke about that. The Bucs could lose 3 in a row, and I told you at that time, not going to matter. It's not going to matter because as long as they can come back, win the game against Arizona, and then take care of business against the divisional opponents, who cares? It doesn't matter. Because you'll be in position to be in first place. And if you're going to win those games, chances are you're getting some guys back from injury. Chris Godwin, still knocking some of the rust off, but he had a couple of nice plays yesterday. We go, there's Chris. Bucky Irving, out there, touchdown. Just he's so freaking slippery, man, turning a 2-yard gain into a 5-yard gain. The way he's able to, like, Bucky Irving, he does such a great job. If you've ever been to a bar, or you've ever been to a club, and you're like, excuse me, trying to get to the bathroom or trying to get to the bar. That's what Bucky does at the line of, excuse me. And like, it's amazing how he's such a small guy and he's able to kind of turn himself sideways. I love it. I love that. So was it pretty? No. When you look at the game yesterday between the Panthers and the Rams, does it scare you a little bit? I don't think it's a guarantee that you're going to win both those games. And I think that the Buccaneers need to look at a game like Sunday and say, we won with our C- game. Jacoby Brissett turning the football over. Right, Bam fumbling the football. That's what bad teams do. Bad teams do that kind of stuff. They're driving. They look like they're about to score. They turn the football over twice. It's not going to happen against good teams. We saw it against the Rams. That was ugly. Because, again, we weren't on that Monday after. And I was listening to T-Kraz in St. Thomas on Sunday night to the postgame show. That was one of the worst Buccaneers games. And listen, was it as bad as that 56-0 game against the Falcons years ago? No. But in this iteration of what the Buccaneers are, that was one of the worst games that we've seen in the last 5 years. No doubt about it. It was ugly. Nothing that they did was working defensively. Nothing they were doing offensively looked good. Baker Mayfield gets banged up. Teddy Bridgewater looked awful. And I put something out, too, that I would have loved to seen Kyle Trask in that game. Not because he would have done well, but it was just like last year we didn't get any opportunities for Baker to really miss any extended period of time. It would have been nice to see Kyle just for a half of football, just so we get some kind of clarity. If he would have shit the bed, it's like, all right, he shit the bed. See? All those Trask apologists, there you go. You get a chance to see Kyle Trask. And if he played okay, it's like, all right, but maybe it's not all gloom and doom. Maybe he gets an opportunity. Maybe. But I look at this Buccaneers team, and I look at the defense, and I look at guys missing tackles yesterday, and I look at the defense as a whole, and Hassan Reddick being back certainly helps. I can't judge the pass rush of this team against the Cardinals. We had this question, or we had this discussion a couple weeks ago when we looked at the total number of sacks with the Bucs, and we looked at it, and they came in the games against the Jets and the Saints and the worst teams that they're playing. So I can't look at the situation with the Buccaneers defense and go, wow, it's so much better. It took a step forward yesterday. Did it? I don't know. Did they look that much better? We'll see. The health on the offensive side of the ball gives me a lot more faith going forward than anything I see on the defensive side. Because even Hassan Reddick and even guys like Yaya Diaby, and I know they get a sack, but it doesn't move me. The defense doesn't move me. You look at Antoine Winfield Jr. yesterday. He was flying around like a bat out of hell. I love to see that. Tyke Smith, Johnny on the spot. There are these little things on the defense that I like. But it's scary because those guys have to play at such a high level for the Buccaneers defense to be able to compete with some of the better teams in the National Football League. Because when they don't, you see what happened against the Rams. But when Antoine's playing like that, Tyke's playing like that, you're talking about one of the better safety tandems in the league. But you're not going to get a consistent pass rush with 4 guys against good teams. And I don't know if we're really going to be able to see the Buccaneers answer that question now until the postseason. Because, yeah, you'll play Carolina. And, yeah, you'll play your division foes. And those games are kind of like, those are a little bit of a crapshoot. We know sometimes you just throw the records out when you play against your rivals. That kind of shit doesn't matter. You got to split with Carolina. And I think you win this first one. That'll be huge. That's what Greg Allman, our pal from Fox Sports, say. If the Buccaneers win these next 3 games against their divisional opponents, they'll, at the very least, win the division, right? Because they'll be 10-5. And even if they lose the last 2 games, one of those games, including a game against Carolina, you'll win the tiebreaker. So you'll be 10-7, win the division going into the playoffs. It is what it is. Is it more of a backing in type of thing? Yeah, I remember this team made the playoffs a couple years ago with a losing record. So is it perfect? No. But offensively, you're seeing Mike Evans getting closer to a return. You're seeing Jalen McMillan gets cleared for to start practicing again. Emeka Egbuka with some drops. That could be a little bit of an issue. I look at this offense, and you're getting back to what we saw last year. Can they be a 30-point a game offense? Yeah, I think they can. And I think we will in week 17, week 18. I think we will see those 4 wide receivers together. I think you will see Evans and Godwin and J-Mac and Emeka Egbuka together. That could be scary. We're about to go on a 4-game winning streak, and that means something going in the postseason no matter who the opponent is. See, I understand what you're saying, King, and I wonder, does it really matter? Because we have this conversation a lot with Eric Erlinson when it comes to the Lightning. The regular season and the postseason are completely different. You go into the postseason, it's a different animal. A lot less possessions. You're playing all good defenses. You're not really playing teams with poor offensive lines. So regardless, if you play 4 crappy teams and then you go play a good team in round 1, does it matter? I think it could help, but is that the end-all be-all? I don't know if people are as scared now of the Buccaneers as they were a couple of weeks ago. But that could change. The narratives do change. The narratives get to a point where if you see complimentary football, if you see the offense doing their thing again, if you can have solid special teams, I thought, let's give credit. Riley Dixon was one of his better games of the year yesterday. Chase McLaughlin, after that slow start, has really kicked it into high gear. But the defense, it all comes back to that. You see Anthony Nelson come up with that big stop on 4th down. But you're going to need to see the best version of Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby. And is that something you're willing to bet your house on? Not me. They're going to have to prove it. And even if you're the most pessimistic person out there, even the most optimistic person out there, I think you just kind of look at that situation with the pass rushers and go, we got to see more. You got to see more. I look at the linebacker situation too, and Servassier Dennis being able to support the run. Has he been that guy to really help in pass coverage like we thought he was going to be? Not really. Not really. Kings wants to know, do you think if we lose the division to get bounced around one again, the Glazers of Light may tell Todd he can stay as the AC, but has to change his coaching staff and find a DC from the outside? No, because I think you're kind of chopping his legs out from underneath him. If they made that move, I think they'd follow. I think they'd just fire him altogether. So I don't think so. I don't think so. I have been one of those people where a lot of people that have been saying, you want to blame Todd Bowles, you want to get rid of Todd Bowles. I have not been in that camp because, and again, I was one of the loudest people when he was promoted, and I was like, y'all sure? Y'all sure? Because I've watched this. But I feel like he's gotten better. And I feel like he's learned. I feel like he made changes on the defensive staff. He brought in a guy to help him with the clock management. I understand that. It's better. And when he does get a decent pass rush, almost like a decent pass rush with 4, I think you really start to see some of the great things about his defense. But over the last couple of weeks, I'm looking at the D and I'm looking at Todd Bowles because the buck stops with him. And I hope you guys realize this, just because I am not one of those people that thinks that they should have gotten rid of him last year, or I don't think he's as bad as some of the haters are. I still think he needs to answer when this defense doesn't play well. Does Jason Light have to wear some of that? Of course. I don't think he's done the best job of fortifying the linebacker position. I don't think he's done the best job of getting pass rushers in there. You look at Josh Sweat, what he did for the Cardinals yesterday. You're like, did you get the wrong guy? Right? Like that. You think about things like that. And these last couple of weeks with Todd, yes, there's no Kalijah Kancey. There are other guys that have not, and I know Hassan Reddick just came back, but you got to be able to put up some fight. You go to LA a couple of weeks ago, you still had Antoine, you still had Tyke, you had Levante, you had Servastier, you had Yaya, you had Vita Vea, right? You had all those guys, and you couldn't stop a nosebleed. Those guys that you had on your defense in LA, I think a lot of us would look at that and say, that's even without Kalijah, even without Hassan, that defense is probably better than Carolina, right? I think, like, just on the surface, a lot of people would say that. Look at what Carolina was able to do yesterday. Yeah, they gave up their fair share, but it wasn't such a walk in the park. Matthew Stafford couldn't do anything wrong. They made his life, a very difficult yesterday. Todd has to adjust to what he has. You can't sit here with your defense and go, hey, this is how my defense would be if we rushed 4. You can't. You have to adjust to your personnel, Todd. He's adjusted in other parts of his game. He's got to adjust with this. I'm sick and tired of watching Hassan Reddick in coverage. I don't want to see him out there. I don't want to see Yaya Diaby out there. I don't want to see that. As much as they don't have a pass rush, and again, you could put that on Chris Braswell not living up to expectation. You could put that on Yaya Diaby not taking a step forward, or Hassan Reddick not living up to the billing. You could put that on Jason Light for not doing more. But if you're the head coach and you're the defensive signal caller, right, you have to do a better job of working with what you've got. And I know some people will say, hey, he's doing the best. And I see you, King. He's doing the best with what he's given. Brother, he's got more than I think we're giving him credit for. He's still got a veteran in Levante David in the middle of that defense. We know he's lost a step, but you know how smart he is. He's got both of his corners, Baziah McCollum and Jamel Dean. People are talking about him like an all-pro guy. You have Jacob Parrish. You have Antoine Winfield Jr. You have Tyke Smith. You got guys in there that can play. This isn't last year where Whitehead went out and Winfield went out, and you're missing all of these guys. Vita Vea is still playing every game. So, like, come on now. And again, I've been a staunch defender of Todd Bowles. But, guys, we got to call a spade a spade. He's got to adjust. He has got to adjust. And listen, this team is going to go as far as their leaders carry them. And I look at 2 guys. And again, I'm saying one of the quiet things out loud, and not many people are going to say it, but I got to be honest with you, man. I'm not thrilled with how Baker Mayfield's throwing the football in the last 2 months. And you want to talk about this, and you want to talk about that, and his shoulder, and blah, blah, blah. And I get it. He's hurt. Fine. I understand. But he said he was okay yesterday. And he still made some poor throws, and he was still inaccurate. And this team is only going to go as far as Baker Mayfield takes them. You saw what happened when Teddy Bridgewater went in. Yikes. That was not good. And Baker, we know, in order for him to be successful, there's got to be some element of a running game. And even a couple of times he ran yesterday, you could tell he didn't have the same moves. He wasn't looking to lower the shoulder. You could tell he was compromised. But aside from that, if Baker is going to be successful, he's got to be accurate with the football. Now, did he get helped with some of the drops yesterday? No, of course not. But I think you start sipping the Kool-Aid a little bit too much, because after the beginning of the season and you see how well Baker Mayfield was playing and he's in these conversations of MVP, let's not forget that we knew going into Baker Mayfield's tenure with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that he is not that guy. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Patrick Mahomes. A losing recipe for the Buccaneers is Baker Mayfield throwing the ball 40 times. He is better when the Buccaneers are running the football, when they're utilizing play action, when he's getting outside the pocket, and then when he gets outside the pocket and he sees nothing, then those scramble plays, when he can get 2, 5, 8 yards, when he can get first down on 3rd and 7. That's Baker at his best. But if you're back there, shotgun, throw, that's not Baker Mayfield's strength. Never has, never will. And again, people falling in love with the whole Baker thing early on in the season because he was an MVP candidate. The reason why people were saying that wasn't because he was slicing and dicing and throwing 50, 60, 70-yard passes down the field. It was because he was running for first downs, and he was leading this team and finding a way to win close games. He's never going to be that guy. And hopefully, now you get Bucky Irving back. And I love that Sean Tucker was still utilized in the game yesterday. Run the football. Jason Light mentioned it on the program yesterday too. Getting Ben Bredesen back has been huge. But I think the offensive line needs to play better. Graham Barton, on one of those plays yesterday where the guy just blew right by him. There's little things with this team, even though you win that game yesterday, that are worrisome, and you kind of pick them here and there. You're like, I didn't really love that. Didn't really love Graham Barton. Is he really taking that next step? He started the season at left tackle. If he struggles for the first couple of weeks after that, I think you can kind of understand. But now, man, we're looking at 12 games into the season, and he's getting toasted on some of those. That's not what you want to see from your second-year first-round pick at center. Tristan Wirfs, that holding penalty, we're going to ask Ian about that yesterday. Probably one of the worst calls you're going to see all year, but this is what you've been getting from NFL officiating. These part-time guys. Awful. Awful. I don't understand how in any form or fashion you can call that a holding penalty. Not good. But they're able to bounce back. They're able to win that game. But it wasn't pretty. So you can look at it on either side of the coin. You can look at the win and go, yeah, they won, but look at the competition. Backup quarterback. They got to clean that up, or it's going to be a long end to the season. Or you go the other side and go, yeah, they won that game. Yeah, it was ugly, but they're starting to get healthier. Chris Godwin, it'll be his 3rd week back next week. It'll be Bucky's 2nd week back. More continuity with the offensive line. Maybe a week closer to getting Mike Evans and Kalijah Kancey back. Depends on how you look at it. It's all up to perspective. But Ian says this a lot, and he said, we'll talk about this here in a second. They haven't earned the right of like, oh, they're going to win anything. We don't know what the hell's going to happen with this team. If you told me that they were going to win both games against the Panthers, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me that they would split, wouldn't be surprised. If you told me that they'd lose both games to the Panthers, I wouldn't be surprised. This Buccaneers team still doesn't have an identity, and they're just kind of meandering their way through the regular season. Now, we've seen this in sports before, where a team doesn't have an identity, and they somehow find a way, they get hot at the right time, and then all of a sudden you look up and they're in the championship. But that's not really a recipe for success. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be the exception to the rule. You want to have something that's tried and true, something that you can go to, something you can rely on. I just don't know what the Buccaneers have right now. Maybe with Sean Tucker getting some reps a couple of weeks ago, maybe Josh Grizzard does what Liam Cohen couldn't do last year and continues to use him after his best week of the season. Because we saw it last year. Sean Tucker, fantastic. NFC Player of the Week in New Orleans against the Saints. Then we didn't really hear from him the rest of the year. Utilize those three backs, run the football, keep the onus off of Baker Mayfield. I think the Buccaneers will be okay. All right, let's bring him in. Our good pal, Jan Beckles. What's going on, brother? How are you?
How you doing, brother? Happy Monday.
Good, man. Good. Happy Thanksgiving. How was it?
Everything was good, man. Had some good turkey. Had some nice smoked turkey, and
I saw that.
Everything was good.
Smoked turkey.
Yeah,
You've done that before, though, right?
I have, but I'll be honest with you. This was the best smoked turkey I probably ever made. This one was. I had 6 people go. That's the best turkey I ever had. So it worked out. Yeah.
It's a good foundation turkey. People get all, something. Well, it all depends on how you prepare it. If you just make the turkey, you don't smoke it, you don't season it, you don't put anything with it, you don't have gravy. It's going to be bland as hell, but you got to it's a blank canvas.
I find it is a blank canvas. So is all meat, but I find turkey to be in the same category as lobster to be quite a bit overrated because you don't really just eat turkey.
Yeah.
Like lobster. You like lobster? Yeah. Eat it without butter.
Yeah,
see
it's
how
different.
good it is. Yeah, turkey without gravy and stuffing and cranberry. Tight.
How excited were you yesterday when Tristan Wirfs caught a touchdown pass?
Nobody was more excited than me. We're at Dignitary Cafe, and I see the ball in the air, and I'm sitting in my little area back here, and the ball's in the air, and I get up. and he scores a touchdown, and I'm standing in front of the screen with my hand up. Yeah. So, when my boy Tristan Wirfs scored a touchdown, so I was happy about that. You know that.
One for the O-lineman, right? One for the O-lineman.
No doubt.
What do you make of this Feeney guy? Because there's a couple plays yesterday. He's running he's running around like he's the last guy that knows what's going on. That guard spot has been a bugaboo since Cody Mauch's been down. And I'm like, oh, man, you have to go to somebody else. I feel like he's doing the best he can. He's a veteran. He's been around this league. But there's just, again, offensive line is one of those things where you don't really want to be noticed. You don't want to really hear that name. But I keep seeing Feeney, and in conjunction with Barton, not great. What do you see from those two guys in particular?
Well, start with Feeney. Somebody asked me just yesterday, is Feeney any good? And I said, I don't like his film. That being said, there's just not a lot of backup linemen that you would play week in, week out that you would say would be good. There's just not many. There's a lot of starters that aren't good. You know what I mean? And you talk about Barton, a guy who should be progressing. Sometimes in that second year, you run into barriers. And I think he's running into some barriers because I just don't see a progression. Like, he wasn't bad as a rookie. I always say, when you talk about a rookie, you always have to say as a rookie. Mm-hmm. But you're not a rookie anymore. So you have to stop making some of these rookie mistakes. Now, some of it is him going against pretty darn good competition. But you're getting to a point where you got to be the dog now. And he's on the wrong end of a lot of bad plays this year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good to see Bucky Irving back. And I think you pretty much agree with my assessment that this Buccaneers team, if they want to do anything, they got to continue to run the football, utilize the three backs that they have, and try to keep some of this pressure off of Baker Mayfield.
Well, whatever you said, I'm multiplying that because I've been saying that forever, and I've been asking the last freaking 5 offensive coordinators to run the football. I agree with you with Baker Mayfield, with your assessment of Baker Mayfield not being one of those aforementioned quarterbacks. I think but Josh Allen and Lamar. I think you named like 4 guys. Yeah. Mahomes. That's a very small category now.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody else, probably 20 quarterbacks are in the next category, and there's 6 quarterbacks in the back end who ain't worth a shit. But Baker's part of that 20 quarterbacks where, listen, Baker, if you run the football, Baker's so much more effective.
Right.
So are most quarterbacks. Lamar, if you don't run it, Lamar has a little shake and does his thing, and Josh, whatever. But those are Hall of Fame football players. Baker Mayfield's not a Hall of Fame football player, but when he was playing Hall of Fame looking football, a lot of it had to do with his health more so to me than them running the football or not. Like yesterday, I saw a little healthier Baker. He looks different. You know what I mean? Like when Baker's not healthy, it doesn't look right. Okay, like you could, like some quarterbacks cannot be healthy and still not affect their play. Like Justin Herbert, I think he'd be fine if he's not healthy because he's not really that wiggly guy, you know. But Baker needs that wiggle, and when he has that little wiggle, I enjoy watching it a lot more.
I think he's got his hair's on fire too, right? He just plays with that reckless abandon, and even when he's just dialed down just a little bit, he's not the same guy, and that kind of worries me when I think about this team going forward. Of do they need him to be that guy for them to be able to reach the pinnacle, right? It's hard because we know that you're putting yourself in harm's way. I mean, we'll see Jackson Dart in action tonight, and his teammates have been telling him, bro, but you've been checked for a concussion 4 times. It's kind of hard to find that balance, right, Beck? That is what makes you successful, because you have to play like that, because you lower your shoulder at times. But man, you're putting yourself in harm's way, and we saw it with Cam Newton. We see with running quarterbacks, like there's just not long shelf life for guys like that.
Well, I don't put Jackson Dart in the same category as Baker Mayfield and Cam Newton, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Newton, he was a guy that if he didn't lower his head was still a good quarterback, but he was more effective when he did. Same with Baker Mayfield. Jackson Dart has to do it. He's not a good quarterback yet. You see what I'm saying? Like he has to do this stuff, or else he won't ever get any first downs. I think Baker Mayfield's out of that category as well. But when I'm watching Baker Mayfield on the field, especially yesterday, for the first time, I saw him making the right decisions, and he was tripping him out. He was tripping him out that he was making the decisions. Like he would slide, he was like, I slid. Like I've never seen Baker really. Yeah. Like it's hard to do something that's not part of your being. Okay, and sliding is not part of Baker's being, and it's hard to just hit a switch, because when it's 3rd and 6, Baker's whole career, his little 6'1" ass figured out a way to squiggle and squirm and get that little first down, where now he sees it. You might see 2 big mongrels out there. You're like, I can. What you need to do is get your ass down and punt the ball and be back there next series, okay? And when he gets that mentality down, he's going to survive longer.
All right, so the Buccaneers lose 3 in a row. They go from 6-2 to 6-5, and then they win the next game to now be 7-5. Which has made a stronger impression on you today, as we sit here December 1st, the 3-game losing streak, or the way that they were able to come back and win yesterday, knowing that their schedule is lighter in front? Mike Evans looks like he could be returning to practice. Jalen McMillan's returning to practice. Is it more of the worry about the 3-game losing streak, or optimism because of the victory in the future?
I'll give them equal billing, because I still don't know where we are, Jay. I mean, we're deep in the season. If I tell you we're good enough to beat a good team, most Buck fans are going to say no. We're also good enough to beat a bad team, okay? So, and that's what we've shown all season long. So you look forward, okay, and you want to predict what's going to happen going forward. Well, we're going to play a bad team in the Saints. Then we're going to play a pretty darn good Carolina team. So, at the beginning of the season, we looked at this schedule and we were like, wow, Carolina, the words Carolina don't mean the same as they did at the beginning of the season. Clearly, okay? They're doing some things that I heard you say at the beginning, I doubt they're going to beat them twice. They probably will not, okay? Yeah. That's the way football goes. It's hard to beat somebody twice in your division when both teams are good. And right now, Carolina's pretty darn good. So you got to take your hats off to Carolina. They're doing some of the good things right. The young kid's not doing, he's not losing games for them. And, you look at Chicago, like everybody makes it about Caleb Williams. God dang, that is not about, if you're watching that game, that is not about Caleb Williams. That's about a bunch of people around Caleb Williams that have been getting drafted real high. And he's got some good football players around him, and so does Carolina.
Yeah, I look at the NFL this year. Is there one team that kind of is better than the rest, Beck? I mean,
the Rams are, to me, I still think, even what happened yesterday.
Somebody asked me that yesterday too. Yeah. They said, my brother-in-law asked me, who's the one team? And I said, I know they lost today. Yeah. But there's just something about the Rams. And I don't know if it made more of an impression on us, Beck, because they just throttled the Buccaneers. Yeah. But I just feel like the coaching, they're strong on the defensive line. They have weapons on the outside. They have 2 good running backs. Like, I feel like they're built the right way. The Rams seem like that they're that team, right?
They do. But Jay, here's what's so wonderful about football. That's what I love about football, okay? Like in baseball, just before the playoffs, you can lose 8 games in a row and it really won't matter. You know, in football, you could switch your season around in a week, both ways.
Right.
Rams lose next week. Now Rams start questioning themselves. The Bucks win 2 weeks in a row. Now the Bucks are all of a sudden like, oh, okay. No, but that's what's funny about football. 4 weeks before last week, everybody thought the Bucks were the best team in football. 4 weeks later, we're the worst team in football. Now we switched again, but it's only 1 week. So it's funny how every week the assessment of every single team switches, and sometimes it switches a lot in one game, and I don't really understand that personally.
That's the NFL. I think that's part of the reason why it's so popular is because you have one game and you have narratives about that game. Everybody has an opinion, and you have 6 or 7 days usually to get an opinion from everybody. It's not like any of these other sports where you can have an opinion and then 2 days later it's like, well, you have a different opinion. So it's back and forth. Like, you really have 7 days to kind of regurgitate the entire thing. You and I have spoken about Todd Bowles, and you and I have always been very kind of in lockstep of all these people that, oh, get rid of Todd Bowles. And we put a lot more onus on the leadership and, you know, his success and the way that he's kind of opened his mind as he's gotten older to new things. But with that being said, I think he's got to wear some of the warts for this defense too. Now, I'm not saying he's alone. Jason Light, I think, has to wear it. You know, getting Chris Braswell, who's been an absolute bust. You look at some of these other guys, like David Walker gets hurt. I don't think you can blame Hassan Reddick. I know he returned Jesse, but this isn't the reason why you paid him all that money. But Beck, and I know it's his defense, I don't want to see Yaya Diaby and Hassan Reddick in coverage. You're having trouble getting to the passer. And you have these guys that are not doing a great job rushing the passer anyway, and you're dropping them into coverage, and they're not really like we saw JPP a couple of years ago come away with a couple interceptions. So I understand that there is a little bit of a proof of concept, but do you feel like Todd Bowles has to adjust now and understand that, like, your pass rush isn't going to change? He's got to adjust a little bit too.
Well, I think that's what he's doing. I mean, the thing is, when you have a pass rush, it's really easy to call defense. Like, let me call defense for the old Buccaneers. Tampa cover 2. Boom.
That's it.
We got 4 guys rushing. We got Rondé off the slot, this, that, the other. We know we great. Try to block us for 2.5 seconds. Let's rock. Every once in a while, you call a blitz, you'll call a little zone read, whatever. But it had something to start with, okay? That's where you have to be. In order to be great in any sport, you have to scare somebody with something to begin with. Like when you say we're playing the Buccaneers defense this year, okay, this week, okay, so the Saints are going to walk up and go, well, the Bucks aren't great at. That's what they're going to start at. Okay, I'm telling you, they're not going to say they're great at. They're going to start. They're not great at. Okay, if you're playing the Ravens in offense, you're going to go, we're going to have to stop the run. We're going to have to stop, Derrick Henry. The Buccaneers really on both sides of the ball don't have anything. We've been talking about identity, but the Buccaneers have won 8 different ways on offense. They've won 8 different ways on defense. They've been effective 8 different ways on offense and defense. And this is one of those teams where it's different players, different schemes, blitzes. It's different. Nelson shows up one game, and it's the most disjointed, successful football team maybe I've ever seen.
Can they turn it around? It's not even turning it around. It's like I said, it's like a Jekyll and Hyde type of thing. Because if they lose in the first round to a rookie quarterback, I wouldn't be surprised, right? If they make a run to the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be surprised because there is talent on this team. I really don't know what to make of them. The defensive side of the ball kind of scares me. I think the offensive side, Jalen McMillan's coming back. It looks like Mike Evans could be coming back. Kalijah Kancey has been working out on the side. What kind of impact do you think he would make on that defensive line? Would he be the cure-all for that lack of pass rush?
No, he's not the cure-all. But listen, if you're asking me, do I want to add a body? Yes. Okay. Towards the end of the season, do I want to add a defensive lineman who's a legitimate defensive lineman? The answer is yes. Is he going to be the answer? He's never been the answer. Okay. He's just going to make us a little bit more solid. And when you look at this Buccaneer team and you're hoping for Mike Evans to come back and you're hoping for Kalijah Kancey and you're hoping for McMillan to come back, when you hope for McMillan to come back or even Kalijah Kancey, you have to know that what you're asking for is not Kalijah at training camp. Okay, when if Kalijah comes back after missing 14 weeks of the season, that's a limited Kalijah, and that's going to be a limited McMillan. Okay, that's period. Now, whether they add to what's going on, that's great, but for them to be the answers, it's hard to work that way, dude, because those guys are not going to be in football shape.
It's more of a supplementary kind of thing rather than them kind of leading from the front, right?
Yep.
Let me ask you about the whole Alex Golesh thing. He leaves USF for Auburn. I think you and I both agree that, until USF gets into a power conference, this kind of things are going to happen. Who's next for USF? What kind of guy would you go after? Would you go after a bigger name? Would you go after a guy that's under the radar type of thing, a program builder? I mean, there's names like John Gruden out there. There's names like Anthony Becht out there. We look at Willie Simmons at FIU, who's really competitive and knows the state. You don't have to give me an exact person, but if you looking at USF, knowing that the new stadium is going to be here in 2027, knowing that they're 9-3, they're going to be in the bowl game once again this year. What kind of guy would you look for USF to hire going forward?
I don't know if I could ever answer that question, because if I interviewed 5 different guys, there'll be 5 different mentalities, and like Tony Dungy has a certain mentality, okay? But who else has that mentality? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Who else does that? So if I would have interviewed Golesh back in the day, and you would have said, Golesh, give me the coach, I'd be like, okay. Was he a good coach? Yep. Okay, so for me to say we need this type of guy, you ever hear of Signetti before he got to Indiana? Now he's the biggest coach in all of sports.
Right.
So to me, the type doesn't matter. It's the person, okay? It's how good is the person. Obviously, Golesh has his, ducks in a row, and so does Signetti. You got to interview that guy, whoever that guy is.
Lane Kiffin going from Ole Miss to LSU is the saga of all sagas, man. Isn't it crazy, though, in college football, Ole Miss was a destination. And even Ole Miss, like, that's why when people complain about, USF is a stepping stone, USF is, bro, the guy that was top 10 in the country at Ole Miss, they got more money that they know what to do with left to go to LSU. This is just kind of the ever-changing landscape in college football, where more guys are going to be making decisions like Lane Kiffin and Alex Golesh, and less are going to be like Signetti.
Well, there's so much money being flung around that there's going to be, crazy decisions down the way. I heard somebody today say, man, it's too bad they can't let him coach to the end of the year. I go, well, that's not productive. Well, why would you want him to be around his players for another 3 weeks to tell them to go to LSU? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And listen, Ole Miss is not LSU, although it could be. Okay, yeah. It could be. Like, LSU's not that. LSU, obviously, the lore of LSU is way higher than Ole Miss. But you go to Ole Miss and you win 2 national championships at Ole Miss, I mean, to me, you're going to be a bigger dog than if you go to LSU and win a national championship. So, it's about money, but everybody has money now. It's about more than that. Like, Indiana can pay you as much as anybody can. James Madison can pay you as much as anybody can. It's just what you're looking for as a coach, I guess, and LSU must have it.
Did you watch Michigan, Ohio State?
Oh, yeah. I had a little bit. I put money on Ohio State. That to me, Michigan, I know there is, rivalry games, and Indiana was in a rivalry game with Purdue and blah, 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 but Indiana was a lot better than Purdue, and Ohio State's a lot better than Michigan on paper, period.
And when Sayan threw that pick earlier, I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And they just pulled away. Bo Jackson in the backfield. It's a pretty funny name.
Right?
Indiana, Ohio State, brother. Big Ten championship.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have a viewing party here at Dignitary, so you're gonna come and hang out, wear your Indiana gear, baby.
Nice. How excited are you, man? I mean, this is gonna be a hell of a matchup, man. I don't know. I mean, watched a lot of football from both of these guys. I think the fact that they played in Michigan the week before is probably good for Ohio State. It kind of got their gears. Because they better be ready. Ohio State's got to be ready for Indiana, because Indiana is going to try to win this game the right way in the trenches. Same thing when they went to Oregon. Oh, yeah, you want to do all the flash dash and all that stuff. We're going to play the game the right way. I feel like Indiana kind of went through a little – how good do you have to be to kind of go through your spoon and still be undefeated? This is going to be a heavyweight contest between the two best teams in the country.
Well, I'm in uncharted territory here. Okay, my team has never been here, and I've never really had these sentiments, but I don't like the game. You know why? It doesn't help Indiana. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like if they win the game, uh, Indiana's cool, but if they lose the game, like to me, if they win that game, you're gonna run into Ohio State again, and winning the game is bad. Okay, that's
Right,
my
right, right, right.
you
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I
I
mean.
hear you.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's one of those things where Indiana's done all these. If they lose the game by 3 touchdowns, they're gonna go, oh well, you see. So I don't love the game. That being said, I've watched a lot of Ohio State, and I've watched a lot of Indiana football, and I don't think anybody scares me. And that's not saying Indiana's gonna win.
Mhm.
But what I've seen in those games that I've watched against Indiana, there's nobody in this nation that scares me. They can beat anybody.
Isn't that crazy to say that?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Unbelievable, man.
It wasn't
It's
that
just
long ago, Indiana. I remember sitting in here commenting. They had big, bulky linebackers running, and now they got athletes everywhere, every position. You know, NFL recruit. Oh man, it's crazy, man. It's fun though. It's fun.
no doubt about it, man. What other games did you watch this weekend?
I watched a lot of football this weekend. Actually, I put a bunch. I kicked ass in betting. I hadn't bet in a long
Nice.
time, and all of a sudden, I just said I'm gonna throw a bunch of bets out, and I'm trying to watch a little. I'm trying to think. I watched Florida a little bit. Florida FSU.
I'm
That
surprised
was
Florida State's keeping their coach Norvell. I don't know how
well,
you
it's
keep
money,
that.
man. I mean, what are they gonna pay him? 50 million just to go home?
Still, that what does that mean? I mean, that
That's
means
gonna
shit to
upset
everybody.
somebody. You
Yeah, I
gotta pay
guess
somebody. It's
everybody
gonna
else is
upset
doing it.
somebody.
It ain't as much as LSU paid Brian Kelly and Penn State paid Jim Franklin.
Yeah, but they got all the money. So
Penn State looks like they're having an issue with finding a new coach, man. What do you think that has to do with?
Well, I mean, Penn State. The lore of Penn State is
It's
not
worn
the
off a
identity.
little bit.
It's well, not this the positive lore, the negative lore.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's a negative lore too. It's still been through some shit now. Okay,
Yeah.
so and to be honest with you, I think Penn State, Michigan, and I'm not trying to downplay these teams. Okay, I'm not. It's not the same anymore. Like going to
Mhm.
Penn State used to mean more. Okay,
Right.
now going to Oregon sounds sexier than going to Penn State. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like Oregon is flashier in the uniforms, and Penn State seems so archaic now. It seems. You know what I mean? Like old school almost. Michigan maybe a little bit too.
I wonder if not a lot, but I've seen some reports that Kalen DeBoer could leave Alabama to go to Penn State. That'd be pretty wild.
Nobody's leaving Alabama. Nobody's leaving Alabama.
I'm like,
Come
I
on.
don't know about that.
Nobody leaves Alabama. No way. No way.
Even nowadays?
No way. No. You don't want to be the guy to leave Alabama ever. No. You go to hell. You'll go to hell. For real.
Going straight to hell.
Yeah, man.
What's going on at the Dignitary Cafe this week?
Same old, brother. We out here hanging out, sipping on that beautiful Kratom and Kava. And like I said, we're going to have a little viewing party for the Indiana. You said
When's that, Saturday?
Saturday at 7:30, I think it is, something like that. Yeah.
It's Indiana, Ohio State, not Ohio State, Indiana.
It's Indiana, Ohio State. Get it right. Spell my name right. Mm-hmm.
That's right. And then the Buccaneers on Sunday. You can watch it over there at the cafe as well. 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Get the Kava, get the Kratom. Video games today, 4:00. Doing it still?
Still messing around, man. I'm on the Heisman level, so you can sit
really
and get my back beat in. Yeah.
Are you still using Indiana every time?
I'm done. I'm Indiana now. I'm never changing.
That's it.
Indiana, baby. Mendoza.
Ian Beckles Show on YouTube, Ian Beckles Show on Instagram as well. Make sure you watch the In the Trenches podcast. He joins me every Monday at 12:30 right here. We have the Beckles and Recher podcast on Wednesday at 3:15 as well. Beck, appreciate it, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you and everybody over there. I'll see you on Wednesday.
One love, kid.
See you, buddy. The one and only Ian Beckles. Great stuff as always with Ian talking all things football. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a hell of a game. Unfreaking believable. Indiana, Ohio State. Yeah, it's, where do you put your finger on that game? I mean, my God, man. It's pretty wild to think that we're in that position now where Indiana is such a legitimate contender in college football where you don't really know who's going to win that game. Don't really know. Okay. You guys ready to talk some Alex Golesh and USF? You ready? We're going to do that here in a couple of minutes. But first, make sure you guys follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them there on the put there at the bottom of the screen. Boom, boom, boom. If you want to get in on the conversation, here is the link. You can do that as well. Big thank you to everybody that's joined us so far. StreamYard.com/VBPAAYUI3J. There you go. No one knows. Queens of the Stone Age. There you go. Benny is in the house. But let me tell you about my friends over at Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. For all your residential and commercial needs, 813-244-0956, thehonesthammer.com, thehonesthammer@gmail.com. Russ is a Tampa Bay sports fan just like you, a USF grad. I know he is going to be locked in to our discussion coming up next about Alex Golesh and him leaving South Florida for the Plains and Auburn. Russ is that guy, man. He's just such a good dude. These are the kind of people that you want to work with. These are the kind of people that you want to invest in. These are the kind of people you want to support. We always talk about support local. It doesn't get more local than Honest Hammer Custom Builders. I was talking to Russ before the show today. Excited that I was back in the Bay Area, ready to talk some sports. That's the kind of guy that you want to be around. And yeah, Russ is the best. You hear him, Russ, Hammer, whatever we call him. But you can call them our partners and our good friends here on the Jay Recher podcast. And of course, let's not forget either Evra Health. Go to evrahealth.org. Everything that they have going on, 17 different locations in Pinellas County. They don't want to be your last resort. They want to be your first resort. This is a place where they take any type of insurance. They have a sliding scale for the uninsured. This is the new age of healthcare. It really is. And you go in there, everything's clean, everybody's super friendly. And when you go to a place like Evra Health, you walk in, you feel like family. And I hope you can kind of get that from the conversations that we have every Thursday with Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. He's so friendly, so intuitive, and when we have a discussion with him, like when it's over, the segment's over, we're just like so jacked up. He's that kind of guy, and that's everybody that works there at Evra Health. Again, evrahealth.org. Go to the Evra Health Institute if you're looking for a career in the medical field. Go to school there, hands-on training. I was there. I was looking at some of the things that they use, the prosthetics. Like, it is no freaking joke, man. A lot of love to our partners, of course, Evra Health and Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC. Rolly, the big rumor is John Gruden to USF. I can't wait what you have to say, Jay. I appreciate you, Rolly. Go check out Lady Evil and Rolly doing big things as well. Let's not forget the rest of the week. We have Eric Erlinson joining us on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Thursday, we've got Everyday Eddie and Cena joining us, as well as Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. Why not get some other irons in the fire? Again, I just got back at like 10:15 today, so I'm still kind of like running on empty. I'm still on my way, just kind of figuring this entire thing out. Lightning in action on Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday as well up in Montreal. So, excuse me. They're in action tomorrow, and then Thursday, and then Saturday. I won't be able to be at Sticks and Stools on Saturday because I have my big time ring ceremony on Saturday, which is really cool. Saturday, the ring ceremony for the University of Tampa. Really, really good stuff there. Yeah, awesome stuff. Robert's in the house. What's up, pal? How are you?
I'm a little bit upset.
He's pissed. He's pissed, everybody. What's wrong? Tell me.
Golesh. That no good, dirty, rotten man with no loyalty. It's all right. He'll be fired from Auburn in 3 years anyway.
Whoa.
So,
Robert, you're not happy today, buddy.
No.
He's pissed.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. We'll come back in 3 years and we'll see. I appreciate you, buddy. And tell your Thunder to stop winning freaking games, buddy.
No can do. No can do. We're winning it all.
All right, pal. I'll see you.
All right, brother. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls is right. Chris is here as well. What's up, bud?
Hey, what's up, man?
What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm a little surprised. I thought like back in the day when a G5 coach would like go on to win the conference championship or like,
Mhm.
run the table and all that kind of stuff, that's when they get poached. But now I guess you could be kind of mid and still get poached, which is
Mhm.
wild.
Right.
And I know we talked about a month ago or so, and we talked about some of his comments that were being made, and I had said like, if it does come out that he was interviewing, I'm gonna look those way differently. Not looking good, buddy. It's not looking good. There are some reports coming out of, I think, like Auburn 247 saying that he was one of the first ones they interviewed after they fired Hugh Freeze, which would have put the timeline right about the Navy game, which
Mhm.
was probably the biggest game in our history, and they didn't look prepared at all. Could be a coincidence, could be nothing. But all this crap about I'm not smart enough to do two things at once. I don't know, man. I mean, looking back at all of his speeches, he kind of says a lot of words without actually saying anything now. And I don't know. I was excited for what he was building. I didn't think he had really gotten to the point to be poached yet, to be honest with you. Like, again, you
Mhm.
haven't even played in the conference championship. I mean, in the American, in a very watered down American, you
Right.
couldn't even get it done. But I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to who we're hiring. Um, it is what it is. He's gone. I'm kind of over it at that point now, especially with all the reports coming out that he's been interviewing and stuff like while he
Right.
said he wasn't. So,
Mhm.
whatever, man. Best of luck to him. Or, oh no, actually, no, not best of luck to him. I don't really care. Roll Tide, roll. But honestly, we'll see. We'll see how USF does. Like I said before, I'm very confident in Rob Higgins. Very confident in Derek Brooks. I think they get it done. We'll see what happens, man. But it's just the timing kind of sucks because you have 1 year to pretty much drum up hype for a brand new stadium. They were doing really good with that, but and all this stuff too about how like, oh, thank you, you left it in a much better place. The thing about college football these days, man, when the coach leaves, you're starting from square one. I mean,
Right.
he's gutting the staff, he's taking the players. I'm sure all the recruits will flip, which I don't blame them for one bit. I mean,
Mhm.
you recruit, yeah, you commit to a school, a coach, not a school. I don't blame
Right.
them for
No doubt.
that. But
No doubt.
the whole foundation thing, like, I don't know, man. In today's college football, I just feel like if you leave, that foundation is gone and we're back to square one. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, not happy about it, but it is what it is. It's over. Move on to the next guy. Let's hope they hit a grand slam because we cannot afford another Charlie Strong or Jeff Scott situation.
You got that
Cannot.
right. You're the
So
man,
we'll
Chris.
see.
Thanks for calling in, buddy.
Yep. Welcome back, bro. Have a good one.
Thanks, man. Good stuff, man. Oh, Chris bringing the heat today, baby. I love it. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it. A lot of people have been asking. A lot of people have been waiting. My thoughts on the Alex Golesh to Auburn situation. I mentioned this before. I'm going to talk about it right now. I've never brought this up because it was said to me in confidence very early on in Alex Golesh's tenure with USF. And it was one of those things where that's just one person's belief. And I said, okay, well, we'll see. But now, after we see how this whole thing shakes out, maybe my buddy was right. So I spoke to a person early on in Alex Golesh's tenure. And this person said to me, he goes, Jay, this guy will not be here long. Alex Golesh will only be here until he gets an opportunity to jump to a school in the SEC. Now, again, this was very early on. I kind of took it with a grain of salt, like I do with everything. But it's kind of crazy how in year one, my buddy said this, and then it came to fruition. That he knew that eventually Alex Golesh would jump. Maybe I just didn't want it to be true, but it is. He left. And you want to talk about timelines, you want to talk about not interviewing, you want to talk about focusing on the job at hand. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not telling the truth, I mean, does Auburn care? Do you really care? Golesh is gone. He took a job in the SEC, and again, do I blame him? No. I don't. If you have an opportunity to have a higher profile job, if you have an opportunity to make more money, I can't fault the guy. I can't. I was hoping that he would kind of stick around for a couple more years because, as we just heard from Chris, they haven't even made it to the conference championship yet. But it's not on Alex Golesh to be like, hey, I'm not ready yet. My resume is not good enough. So maybe I'll just wait a couple years. If Auburn is going to throw all this money at you, if you're going to have an opportunity to go play and coach in the SEC, if you have an opportunity to be able to play and coach against Alabama every year, I mean, how do you turn that down? Now, does it suck from a USF standpoint? Yes, because of everything that they were building. Because you look at what the offense was looking like. You look at what Byron Brown was able to do. You look at what everybody, the excitement, where all that was coming from. And now, as Chris alluded to, you're kind of back to square one. Now, are you all the way back to a point where you're back to the Jeff Scott days? No, I don't think it's like that. Because you have a much more structured foundation and leadership core set in place. But this is a huge decision that Rob Higgins and Derek Brooks have to make. It is the biggest decision that they may ever make. When you look at selecting the guy that's going to lead your football team, we know the role of football for college athletics. Everything trickles down from there. You have to get this right. Michael Kelly got the Jeff Scott thing wrong. He saved his ass by bringing Golesh in. We knew how important that decision was. Rob Higgins is going to vet this process, and he's going to look, he's not going to leave any stone unturned to make sure that there's a person that they bring in here that is going to lead this program forward, open up the new stadium, and get this team ready to jump to a big-time conference, or whenever they end up doing this super conference thing that eventually they will do. Am I surprised that Golesh left? No. I was on air in Alabama today, and I was speaking about how Golesh is not all warm and fuzzy. He's just not that guy. He's very matter-of-fact. He's very process-driven, like he says. Very transactional, very conditional with, at least with us, right? I said earlier this year that I loved his relationship with Jarvis Lee. I like that he coaches the person just as much as the player. At the end of the day, that's the relationship. That's the most important thing, right? How he is to us, how it seems to us, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And if you get caught up in your feelings, if you get caught up in like feeling like a scorned lover because of Lane Kiffin or Alex Golesh, like at the end of the day, man, they got to do what's best for them. You may agree or disagree with how they went about it, but it's kind of the nature of the beast. There's going to be more people like that than people like Kurt Signetti, like John Cooper, like some of these other guys that they just kind of want to stay where they're at. Alex Golesh had his eyes on the prize, and that prize was not South Florida. Alex Golesh used this place as a stepping stone to get a more high-profile job in the SEC. I don't know if it's it's not, I'm not bashing the guy for it. I'm not upset about it. I'm not complaining. It's just the nature of the beast. This is what's going to happen. But for all those people out there that say, oh, well, USF is always going to be a stepping stone until they go to a bigger conference, you're not wrong, but let's keep things in perspective too. Lane Kiffin just left Ole Miss, a top 10 team, playing in the SEC. All that money, hotty toddy. Ole Miss fans around the world. What a huge fan base. And he left them. That was a stepping stone job for him to go to LSU. So that's just kind of the way it is when it comes to college sports. I think when it comes to sports in general, loyalty is not something that we should be surprised that is not at the forefront and at the top of everybody's priority list. Loyalty to a player, loyalty to a team, loyalty to a franchise, to an organization. It just, I'm not going to lose my mind over that kind of stuff. Am I surprised that Alex Golesh left? Nope. Not at all. He was always good to me, so I wish him well at Auburn. It's an interesting hire for them because he has had his struggles. And that's why I'm not, maybe that's another reason why I'm not like completely torn up about it as well, is that you look at this entire situation with Alex Golesh, struggled against these top teams, struggled against these teams in conference. In these 3 years, couldn't even make it to a conference championship game, won 2 bowl games, which was great. But you kind of look at both sides, like the pros and the cons. What if he does stay? What if he stays and then the next 2 or 3 years he doesn't even make it to a conference championship game? Then what? Then you're going to wonder, should we be looking for somebody else? Because your expectations change. Your perspective changes. Obviously, you look at Alex Golesh, and I don't think anybody could be upset with what he did because we just saw what Charlie Strong's end of his tenure was and how bad it was for Jeff Scott. This wasn't just a bad team in the conference. This was a bad team in college football. Anything was better than that. So Alex Golesh comes in here, talks about being process-driven. You get a guy like Byron Brown, you accentuate his strengths. Don't be surprised if he follows him to Auburn. I wouldn't be surprised. But this is just kind of the nature of the beast right now. And now people are wondering who's next. Who's going to be that next guy? And I've told you guys for the last couple of weeks, there was a name that I had under my hat, and I was going to wait until Alex Golesh took a job elsewhere because I had a feeling it was going to happen. And that was Anthony Becht. And you're starting to see it. You saw Joey Knight in the Tampa Bay Times, his article. Kevin O'Donnell used to work for Fox 13, was talking about it. I tweeted about it yesterday because I saw people starting to mention it. But AB is a guy that I've known for a very long time. AB is a guy that knows every single level of football. From the high school level with his son Rocco at Wiregrass, understanding how important that recruiting process is. He knows about the college level with Rocco going to Iowa State. We know what it was like for him being a college football guy. You know, we knows he's got the connections at the pro level, all the connections that he was able to make at the UFL and the XFL with The Rock and everybody. Like, this is a guy that a lot of people think very highly of in this sport of football. Working with the Jets on their radio, with their radio team. So he's got his hands everywhere. And this is a guy, when I spoke to him about this job, because I'm not just saying it like, oh, I think this is the guy that would be here. This is a guy that would stay here. This is a guy that has roots here. This is a guy that wants to build something. Think about what he was able to do in the UFL with minimal resources. 3 straight years of successful football. A fan base in St. Louis where, like, that was the the most prominent fan base in the entire XFL and the UFL. I don't quite understand why you wouldn't want a guy like Anthony Becht. You want some lower-tiered college football guy. I know Willie Simmons is an option. People like that. Does that really move you? I was on air in Alabama earlier today and talking about Summerall taking over in Florida. It's like, if you're telling me that we had a chance to get Lane Kiffin and now we're going to the Tulane head coach, does that really move me? Does that really make me get out of my seat? Not really. Golesh would have, if I'm a Gators fan. Because Golesh, at least, he came into our house and beat us. He knows the state of Florida. He's recruited here. Look at what he's been able to do with Byron Brown. What if he was able to work with DJ Lagway, right? That's the kind of things that I would think about. I don't see why a guy like Anthony Beck is such a bad decision. Now, do I think he's the end all be all? No, of course not. And if it's not him, am I going to be upset? No, because I trust more than my belief that Anthony Beck would be a good decision is my belief in Rob Higgins and Derek Brooks. No doubt about it. But the fact that people don't think Anthony Beck would be a good choice, I think that is very short-sighted. Very short-sighted. This is a guy that knows the game, and he knows the importance of building through the trenches. One thing that you look at with Alex Golesh and what he wasn't able to do, think about it. 3 years, the offense has gotten better. What about the defense? When we've needed that defense to step up, losing those battles in the trenches, AB, who understands that as well as anybody they've ever talked to about in the game of football, has those relationships with the high school coaches, has the relationships. He's been on campus with Matt Campbell at Iowa State, working with them. That's one of the best coaches in college football. If Rob Higgins decides to go with Anthony Beck, I don't quite understand why people would be upset with that. You want to go with some of these smaller, like this is a new age for USF. Give me a guy like Anthony Beck that's going to have patience. Give me a guy like that knows what it's going to take, knows that it's going to be a process. And for all the people that are talking about John Gruden, I want no part of John Gruden at USF. No part. And I'm going to tell you why. John Gruden is a guy that right now, has a pretty sweet gig with Barstool. He has a pretty sweet gig kind of going around. Everybody's looking at Gruden. He's kind of the belle of the ball. It was very similar to when he was doing Monday Night Football. Remember that? Everybody loved Gruden's grinders. People love that. But then when you commit to a team, you go from being everybody's friend to being the hunted. To being a guy where you start picking at the things that he doesn't do well. And listen, when you think of John Gruden, and I'm going to bring it back to this, one of the people that have been a staunch supporter of John Gruden over the years has been our good pal Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report. Just think about this, right? I don't like what John Gruden has said. I don't like any of that. But from my interactions with John, from the people that are closest to me outside of Beck, right? Ian don't like him. But how he's treated me in the past, it is what it is, right? He's been good to me. So I don't have really any ill will because my personal relationship with him, it's like Warren Sapp. My relationship with Warren Sapp is a lot different than I know a lot of other people out there. And I can only judge people really how they treat me, how I treat them. But when I get it from a guy like Scott Reynolds, when he says that John Gruden is not one of those guys that when things aren't going well, that are going to bring things back on the track. He's a guy when things are going well, when you're leading from the front, when you don't necessarily need as much patience. That's the kind of guy you want. Is that what we need here at USF? Now, if you tell me Gruden would be an option maybe at like Ole Miss, that makes a lot more sense to me. But Gruden at USF, knowing that there's got to be some patience, knowing that you're going to be in the American, knowing that you're not going to get the right recipe for success, the right group of players early. And listen, we live in a comparative society. You want to compare your new with your old, everything. Everybody out there looks at, remember Deion Sanders? Early on, good returns, beating TCU. Look at what they've done the last couple of years. Oh, the transfers were great. Oh, everybody's going to want to love and go play for Deion. And I was one of those people that wanted Deion to do well. I think it's good for college football. If he would have been one of the best coaches in the NCAA, I thought it would be great. More attention. I love good coaches because good coaches mean good players. It means you're making a difference and you're making people's lives better, giving these kids an opportunity to be better versions of themselves. I thought it would have been a great thing if Dion was a great coach. Unfortunately, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing Dion taking the world by storm. And I think his message is kind of worn off. Nobody's signing up for Colorado. That isn't a top topic of conversation right now in college football. What's going on with Colorado? So for people to think, oh, Gruden's going to come in, he's going to do all these things. What about Bill Belichick? It's not just about the name. It's not just about the name. You have to have foundation. You have to have established across the line, know exactly what college football is all about. You think John Gruden is going to be patient with the transfer portal, patient with NIL? It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me at all. I'm excited. I would love to see Anthony Beck get a shot. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But I have full faith in Rob Higgins. I have full faith in Derek Brooks because I know that those two guys are not going to just take the high-profile name. They are not just going to take one guy that is going to knock your socks off in one chat. What we took from Alex Golesh and that process-driven, and if you look at the video that I watched today, when he's talking to the Auburn players and saying a lot of the same things that we heard to the USF guys, and speaking about making sure that your process is right, and it's not just on the football field. Let's not forget Sean Atkins. You remember him? A guy that went from a walk-on to one of the most decorated wide receivers in USF history. And I remember him going, Jay, Coach Gruden helped me with my sleep patterns. He told me I wasn't getting enough sleep. He told me that I had to take care of myself. It was such a look, an inside look on what Alex Golesh was trying to get across to these guys. And you may not agree with how he went about leaving USF for Auburn. But with these messages that he was giving these kids, a lot of that stuff is not wrong. Saying that the players are the ones that have to hold the standards up this high. It can't just be the coaches. The coaches kind of lay out the guidelines. This is how it's got to be. And then over the years, the players are the ones that have to hold the team accountable. He said that since day one. Now you look at it and you see Jalen Schuler, you see Mac Harris, you see Jarvis Lee, you see Byron Brown. They did. That was exactly what Coach Golesh said he was going to do. And that's what he did. Again, happy with the way he left. Think he was having discussions during the season and not focused on the task at hand. I think you're fair to have those questions. But with that being said, he left this place and I know what you're saying, Chris, because you're kind of scrapping it down and going down to the studs now. But these last 3 years were a whole hell of a lot better than the three previous. That's not a terrible thing. Big thank you to Chan in the house. And look at Richie P. Let's not kid ourselves. Gruden's the guy. He's hungry. We have to offer an NIL money coupled with the eyes Gruden will bring in will give us the right kind of attention to take us into whatever that next level could be. And I understand why you're saying that, buddy. But I don't think that's what have we seen from Gruden as far as the success from him since that Buccaneers run. It wasn't great in Vegas. I mean, he was the guy with Mike Mayock and those players. And I mean, nothing where you're looking at him going, wow, he's adapting. Wow, he's a guy that's really going to put my teams in a position to succeed. If that was the case, I think we would have seen a lot more offers for him. I think part of the reason why Gruden is so attractive is because he has put himself out there, because he does have an engaging personality. But I don't know if people are really signing up to hire John Gruden as their coach because he's that great of a coach at this point of his career. And that's not my opinion. it's kind of just like what we've seen as far as the example, right? Of like what, how other people are talking about him, how other people are treating him. If John Gruden was that high profile of a hire, why isn't Florida in on him? Why isn't Ole Miss on him? In on him? Why isn't Penn State in on him? Right? Like if he was that good of a coach, how come these other NFL jobs? How come we don't hear him for the opening of the Giants job? Right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like you have to sometimes, even though I don't think it would be a good hire, we think you have to kind of understand what's going on with this entire process and how people view him. Sometimes like you just kind of look through this entire, kind of navigate through the noise there. Same thing with Alex Golesh. I mean, you look at it, that's a perfect example. Golesh and Gruden. Whether you think Golesh is ready or not, there was enough people talking about him. Arkansas, Auburn, Florida. There was another school, whatever. But there were people that they were kind of kicking the tires on Alex Golesh. That's what happens. It's not what we think. It's about, there's proof there. And when you look at John Gruden, and we haven't seen that same tire kicking. So even though I may not think listen, that's my opinion. But if there was a bunch of teams out there signing up, like we'd love to talk to John Gruden, that's what happens. Like it would happen, but we're not seeing that. So you got to kind of parse through what our opinions are and kind of look at what the discussions are like. And if a lot of people are not bringing his name up in conversations, then I think we should take that for what it's worth. We'll see what happens. I saw my guy John Eagle in here. What's going on, pal? The timeline to make a decision. You would think it would have to be soon. National Signing Day. It used to be a big deal. Now I don't think National Signing Day is that big of a deal now because people transfer all the time. I think it would rather be sooner. I think it would sooner rather than later. I think in the next 2 weeks, they would probably try to get somebody in before the bowl game. I think makes a lot of sense. You want to be able to see what you're working with. And I think you want the players to have an idea of whether they're going to stay on, whether they're going to enter the transfer portal. I want I want somebody that's going to really be part of this. Let me be careful how I say this, because I know people are going to say, oh, well, I want a guy that's going to be here for the long term. Do you? Like, what if you don't? I mean, what if he's not? Golesh wasn't here for the long term, but he brought some successful football. He gave people an insight into what USF can be all about. So shouldn't that be what we're looking for? We should be looking for somebody that's process-driven, just like Golesh. We should look for probably a guy that runs a pretty entertaining offense, maybe a guy that has a better relationship with a DC or puts maybe more of an onus on pass rushers and the defensive side of the ball, right? I think that's where we're at. But to think like, oh, we got to wait and we got to make sure that we get a guy that's going to be here for the long term, you're going to be waiting a long time for that. So again, all the luck in the world to Alex Golesh. He was always good to me. Not surprised that he's leaving. I trust Rob Higgins and Derek Brooks that they're going to make the right decision. We obviously know the whole Lane Kiffin situation. And I just want to point something out when it comes to Lane Kiffin. There's a right and a wrong way to cover sports. And we have this way now where everybody and their mother that has a podcast and everybody has social media, everybody has an opinion and they put it out there. And what really bothers me about the world that we live in right now is people feel like they could say whatever the hell they want on social media. And then when they get checked, then they cower and they're not as tough. And when you think about a situation like we saw with Lane Kiffin, you have this guy Ben Garrett, who's and for on3.com, and during a podcast, Ben says, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. Hoes don't act right. Now, I know he's quoting a music lyric, and I know he's trying to say, like, oh, I just, I didn't say, I said you were acting like one, not that you were one. Come on, bro. That kind of shit is so weak. I didn't say you were stupid. I just said you were acting stupid. Like, what are you, a child? But then when Lane Kiffin goes and presses him about it and says, you want to walk in here and call me a hoe? We'll see how it goes. I mean, and then you don't say anything. I mean, who's the hoe, honestly, right? Like, if I'm going to call somebody a name, if I'm going to say something like that, I'll be prepared to answer the bell if somebody comes to try to check me. A lot of people will, the Twitter tough guys and these, the gangster, Twitter gangsters. I mean, it's crazy to me that people want to feel like they can say or do whatever they want. And then when they get checked like that, they're silent as a church mouse. Guys that have never been in that situation before, probably haven't played the game at all, and you want to start name calling people. You've seen it before. People, this guy's a bitch, this guy's a hoe. Say it to his face. Say it to his face. If you say it to your face and then nothing happens, and hey, whatever. But I will tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, friends of the program, there is nothing that I will say on this podcast that I will not say to a coach, to a player, to anybody, ever. I don't care. Also, I'm not going to sit here and call coaches bitches. I'm not going to call players, pussies or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. That's not my style. I'm not a name caller. These guys are professionals. They get paid millions of dollars. They're obviously doing something right. I may have a difference of opinion. I may not agree with the decisions that they make, but I'm not going to sit here and start calling them names. I'm not going to make it personal. But if you're going to say things like for clicks, calling a coach a hoe, and then when he presses you on it, you're going to sit there silent. Come on. Turn the mirror around. Yeah. Who's the tough guy now, right? But that's how people want to cover sports nowadays. They want to be tough guys. They want to be name callers. Like, I'm never going to be that guy. Sorry. That's one way to cover sports nowadays. Not the way I ever want to do it. And then you look at what Marty Smith did for ESPN. You guys see Marty Smith? He was in Oxford for 36 hours. He was wearing the same suit 2 days in a row. Marty Smith is out there in Oxford, Mississippi, and he gets an opportunity to speak to Lane Kiffin before he goes to Baton Rouge. That's dedication. This is a guy that was waiting there, and he got the exclusive that everybody was looking for. Why? Why does he get that? Because Marty's a good guy. Marty's a good guy. He does his work the right way. He busts his ass. He does whatever sport they ask him to do. And you remember, there was a situation. Remember Jack Patterson? You guys remember Jack Patterson? Jack Patterson, the young man from WRBL Sports. Out there, ATL, Columbus, Georgia. He was recording his stand-up. This was back in 2019. Remember this. And he was like having some issues with his camera. And then who comes by 6 years ago to help him out? Gave him some advice and encouragement. Marty Smith. Be kind, work hard. The rest takes care of itself. Words to live by. That kind of shit has a pattern. You see it over and over and over again. Good people. So all these different things out here, right? All these tough guys. You want to name call, and then you get pressed and you're silent. Come on now. Come on now. Be careful. Be careful pointing a finger because there's 3 pointing right back at you. And this entire Lane Kiffin situation, an entire situation with how people cover sports now. There's a lot of Ben Garretts out there. A lot of tough guys when they're on a podcast. A lot of guys that want to say inflammatory things just to get clicks. But when somebody presses them, when somebody gets in their face, they're silent as a church mouse. In a world, in a sports media world filled with Ben Garretts, be Marty Smith. Be a true professional. Be a guy that goes about his business the right way. Be a guy that helps a young guy like Jack Patterson coming up through the business. Call out people like Ben Garrett. And let's prop up guys like Marty Smith. All right. I want to talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning a little bit here. Somebody was asking me, did you watch a Lightning game against the Rangers? Yeah, of course I did. And you missed it. I'm sitting there and I'm watching this. And I'm watching this game. And my one niece is like, let's go Rangers. I love Adam Fox. My other niece is like, let's go Rangers. They're 7, 6, and 5. My 7-year-old, the 6-year-old, they're all, they're going crazy. They're cheering for the Rangers. And then my 5-year-old niece is like, oh, yeah, I'm rooting for the Lightning. I'm like, there you go. And then they went downstairs, and I guess they got to her, and they started making these signs, let's go Rangers, and they're parading them around the living room. And the Lightning beat the snot out of the Rangers. Now, the Rangers did end up coming back and scoring a goal, but the Lightning went on to win. But it was just good to stick it to the nieces. You know what I mean? You guys are talking all that shit, and the Lightning won. So, yeah, it's the way it goes. And I was rubbing it in their face. I was the worst. I was the worst uncle on, what was it, Saturday? Was it Saturday? Yeah, I was the worst uncle on Saturday. I was talking so much smack. I was like, you guys are the worst. Lightning are the best. Yeah, it was funny. Funny stuff. Why have the Lightning been so good, Jay Recher? Why have they been so good? People want to know. I'm going to tell you why. No Victor Hedman. No Ryan McDonough. No Eric Chernak. No Braden Point. Why have they been so good? Because even when you lose your top players, if your structure is right, you can be able to hold down the fort. Now, you look at what the Lightning have been able to do, and I look at two guys on the defensive side. And I look at J.J. Moser, friend of the program, and Darren Radish, friend of the program. J.J. Moser has been one of the best defensemen in the National Hockey League this season, bar none. And there was a really poor anecdote from an Athletic article a couple of weeks ago about trades the teams wish they could have back. And the person that wrote the article said that it was the Mikhail Sergachev for J.J. Moser trade. And it was like, really? Really? No thanks. No thanks. J.J. Moser has been one of the best defensemen in the NHL this year. Bar none. Even better when Victor Hedman and all these other guys went down. He is one of those guys that when you watch him play, you're like, oh, whoa. He's in trouble, he's in trouble, he's in trouble. And then he just circles back. He's in trouble, he's in trouble, he's in trouble. Makes an incredible pass. He's so freaking good and such a nice guy. He's unbelievable. And I got to give Darren Radish a lot of love. Remember, we've had this conversation the last couple of weeks about Darren Radish. He was on the outside looking in. He was defenseman 8. We were wondering if he was going to get traded, if he was going to get sent down. He just had a kid. Like, we were just like, man, the whole world, it looked like his time was coming to an end. Remember we said that Darren Radish and Gage Gonsalves. And then what happened? What got into Darren Radish? The last 2 weeks, he's been an ultimate freaking dynamo back there, shooting the puck. And I say this all the time when I see him. Shoot the puck. Shoot the puck, shoot the puck, shoot the puck. Fastest recorded shot for a goal this year at over 100 miles an hour. 3 points again the other night. playing fantastic defensively. Him and Moser has been a really good pairing. Ratty's one of those guys, man, where we say this in football. We had this conversation with Ian Beckles a couple of weeks ago about Anthony Nelson. What is he going to look like with more time? Play him more. After what we just saw against the New Orleans Saints, put him out there more. We saw that. Wasn't great. Darren Radish is one of those guys. He's one of those guys when he doesn't play a lot, I think it hurts his confidence a little bit. I think it hurts his rhythm and his consistency. But when he's out there and when he's counted on, he's a freaking really good player. And I just love what we've seen from him. And for those people that look at him and go, why is he still out there? I think the coaching staff looks at performances like this and go, that right there, power play 1. What does his contract look like? David wants to look 50 points. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he put up 50. He's going to get paid. I don't know if it's going to be from the Tampa Bay Lightning, but this is a guy that has been unfreaking believable these last couple of weeks. Couldn't happen to a better guy. Such a great guy. And I want to say something which was really nice to watch the broadcast. MSG does such a great job. And it was really cool because it was Kenny Albert and Brian Boyle on the broadcast. And they just so superfluous in their praise for the Lightning and how they go about their business, and John Cooper and Brandon Hagel and Sorelli and Darren Radish. It was so nice, man. It was really cool to see them show so much love to our guys, and Radish especially, because obviously his brother Taylor was playing for the Blue Shirts. And there was something, and I know Ben wrote an article too, and their dad's sick. He's not doing too well. What a whirlwind of emotion for Darren. Just had a kid. Could have been his last days with the organization. Dad's not doing too great. And he's played some of his best hockey of his career over the last couple of weeks. Great dude. Unbelievable person. I just hope he keeps it up. And how about Brandon Hagel? I mean, you look at what this guy started off the season so slow. You're like, what's the deal with Hags? And now it's like he's the toughest guy on the ice again. He's just so freaking feisty. He plays with such grit. He's got that jam that hockey people talk about. And I put this out on Instagram the other day. I think it was on Bleacher Report. And you see all of these different things, and you hear from like John Bucci-Gross and some of these people, and it's like Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini and all these guys, and they should be this and they should be that for Team Canada. Bro. Are you nuts? You need 12 top-tier forwards? That's what you need? That's what makes a team good? No. You're telling me that you have probably the best penalty-killing duo in the entire National Hockey League in Anthony Cirelli and Brandon Hagel. You already have proof of concept that they can win in an international stage. They helped your team win the Four Nations gold medal. Their head coach is the head coach of Team Canada, and the guy that's making the decisions is their GM with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't see how Anthony Cirelli and Brandon Hagel don't make Team Canada. I think it would be a huge, huge misstep if they didn't bring those guys. Now, as a Team USA guy, I hope they bring Celebrini and all those guys. But what are you going to do? You're bringing those 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that score these goals because they have an opportunity to play on power play 1 because they're on the first line. Like, think about that. Connor Bedard's playing first line for the Blackhawks and playing in every situation. Is he going to do that with Team Canada? Is he going to play over Connor McDavid? Is he going to play over Nathan McKinnon? Is he going to play over Sidney Crosby? Is he going to play over Cale Makar? It's not going to happen. Same thing for Macklin Celebrini. What kind of sense does that make? Zero. You need guys that are going to be bottom 6 forwards. You need guys that are going to win faceoffs and they're going to kill penalty. It's not a popularity contest. Hagel's been fantastic. The Lightning have been really good. I just like the way that they've been playing hockey. And it's the young guys, Charles Edward Destu and Dominic James, and seeing what Douglas has done. And Nick Paul being back is fantastic. The Lightning make you feel really good about being a Tampa Bay sports fan right now. And then, you got Jonas Johansson, you got Andrei Vasilevsky, you have John Cooper. You're just firing on all cylinders right now. Lightning back in action tomorrow night on Long Island against the Islanders. When you watch the game tomorrow, I want you to keep an eye on one player for New York, and that is Matthew Schaefer. Watch this kid play. Wait, they're here tomorrow? Am I wrong? No, tomorrow. I got my days mixed up. That's Saturday. My bad. Yeah, tomorrow on the island. Okay. Watch Matthew Schaefer. He is one of the best young players in the game. The way he skates, the way he controls the game. This kid is the truth. I love watching that kid play. He's going to be good for a very long. He's the best player on the team already. Barzell, all this, flash and dash, I think there's a lot more to be desired there. But watching Schaefer, sick. Freaking sick. Second in coming of Bobby Orr? Maybe. Let's not forget, and I saw this the other day too. Some people were saying, Cale Makar, one day he'll be better than Bobby Orr. Never going to happen. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Why? I'll tell you why. Because Bobby Orr could be the greatest hockey player of all time. Phil Esposito thinks he's the greatest of all time. You are not going to see a defenseman lead the league in shots. You're not going to see a defenseman lead the league in points. You're not going to see a defenseman win the MVP 3 years in a row and the Norris Trophy 8 times in a row. When Cale Makar does that, then we can have a conversation. He's not doing any of those. So if he's not doing any of those, how do you expect him to be better than Bobby Orr? Sorry, not going to happen. All right, let's finish up the show today. And did anybody watch Survivor Series on Saturday night? I sure as hell did. And when they said that there was only going to be 4 matches, I immediately thought it was a terrible decision. Did they need 8? No. Did they need 10? No. But brother, if I'm going to Petco Park and I'm spending all this money and I'm outside, 4 matches? I don't care how long the matches are. 4 matches? Oh, not good, dude. Not good. I did not thoroughly enjoy the Stephanie Vaquer Nikki Bella match. Why do we still have? We have all these women that are good. Why are we still rolling with Nikki Bella? I don't understand. There's just no intrigue in that match whatsoever. That was rushed. You could have done so many different things. You're not defending the Intercontinental Champion. Oh, wait, no. Cena did. Excuse me. Just looking at tag teams. What's the deal with the U.S. title? It's just such a weird kind of dynamic. There's all of the emphasis is put on the John Cena situation, and I get that, and I like that. I thought it was good. Liv Morgan coming back, which is great. She's one of the most popular figures in the game. Jumping into Cena's arms, turning on him, kicking him in the nuts. Dom winning. Good storytelling. No issue with that. The women's War Games match, I just thought it was a lot of standing around. I don't necessarily want to see the War Games be the blood and guts because I think AEW just goes to the blood way too much, especially on their power penalties, on their power plays, on their pay-per-views. Everything's blood. Every single match is a no holds barred. Everything is there's blood everywhere, and it's like, all right, it loses some of the lore when it's like that all the time. But show me, if you're doing War Games, if you're using the word war, if you're inside a cage, there's got to be violence. I want to see violence. I want to see hard-hitting affairs. EO jumping off the thing again. She's the best. Obviously, my favorite women's wrestler, no doubt about it. But it's like, that was it. That was it. And then AJ Lee gets the tap out of Becky Lynch. Like, there was no turn. There was no tease of a turn. It was just such a meh. I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. I also didn't like there was no shark cages this year. I thought that was one of the best parts of it. One of the best parts of the shark cage is those guys standing there and not knowing who's going to come out next. I don't want to see. It's not about the music. That's Royal Rumble. That's other another miss. And then the men's War Games match. And I know in the past they've had Rikishi and Too Cool do doing the yeet thing in the middle of the War Games match. I'm not on board with that. War. I like the fact that they interrupted with Brock Lesnar, but Brock beats the shit out of everybody. Then this masked character comes in, does the kick, does the stomp. You want people to believe that it's Seth Rollins. We know it's not. Is it Austin Theory? Is it Carmelo Hayes? Is it Tony D'Angelo? Is it any of these guys? Maybe, but you didn't expose it. Like, I wanted to know who that was then and there. I don't want to have to tune in tonight to find that out. I thought it was really poorly done. I did not love the show outside of the Cena match. I just feel like we're and I say this, I'll tell you, when WWE is flying, when it's going well, I'll let you know. When it's hit a stale point, I'll let you know as well. And I think it's stale right now. Not really that. I mean, after the fact of the men's match, there's Roman saying, Cody, I'll never team up with you again. Other than Cody hitting the elbow in the face of CM Punk, like there wasn't really that much of a with Roman. It was weird, man. I did not enjoy it. And it was surprising because I wanted to enjoy it, but it left a lot to be desired again. Man U wins over the weekend. A big comeback win, 2-1 over Crystal Palace. Chelsea 1-1 draw at Arsenal after Chelsea went down to 10 men. Really stupid challenge by Moises Caicedo. Just going in way too hard against Mikel Merino. They were leading 1-0, and then Merino comes back to tie the game, but that was it. But yeah, just a crazy weekend overall when it comes to sports. So much that we got into today. The Alex Golesh situation, the Buccaneers, Rays. We'll see what happens there. Player movement. Who's the big free agent domino to fall? Wait till Kyle Tucker signs. I can't wait to see that. Penn State, again, I said this before. I don't think Kalen DeBoer will leave Alabama for Penn State, but if he does, Dabo Swinney will be your next coach. I've been saying that for a while. Dabo will be your coach at Alabama sometime before 2030. You heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. All right, guys, it's going to wrap it up for me today. What a great show that we had. A big thank you to Ian Beckles for joining us on the program. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Follow me everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. A big thank you to Richie P. Richie wants Gruden bad, buddy. Listen, for you, if Gruden's the guy, I'll be happy for you, Richie. And listen, if Gruden's the guy, I'll support it 100%. Even if I don't think it's the right, whatever, man. Yeah, I don't take that kind of shit personal. Chan, Rolly, Eddie, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, Chan again. Chan 2 times. Love you guys so much. A big thank you to Ian Beckles for joining us as well. CJ Hall, good to be back, buddy. Thank you very much. Big thank you to Honest Timer and Ever Health as well. Again, follow me at Jay Recher. Kill that like button. You guys are the best. We're back at it, baby. About 10, 15 more shows for the rest of the year, man. Coming to a close. Can't believe it. 2025 this year has just absolutely flown by. I love you all. I appreciate everybody's love and support. We'll see you tomorrow at noon right here on the Jay Recher podcast. I'm gone. Peace out.